are times that we do have to suggest as a last resort talking to the insurance company about invoking the appraisal clause.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Airing of Grievances with Robert Grieve. I'm Eric Reamer, your host, and we're super grateful that you are here. Listen, if it's your first time to the channel, welcome. We'd like you to consider clicking the subscribe button and the notify bell, and at the very least, if you like what you see here today, give us a big thumbs up. That's the #1 way that we can help grow this channel and share this information with more people. And I think you're going to discover that the information that we're going to share, even today, is critical to you, the consumer. That said, if you are a subscriber to the channel already, we want to say thank you. We're so grateful for each and every one of you. This is an informal cup of coffee, Saturday morning chat, and that's exactly the way it's intended to be. We do have an update for you from last week's video. Now, I'm going to post the link to last week's video up here. You can watch that after this one. And we're going to post that update a little further into this video, so stay tuned for that. Some stuff happened after we filmed last week's video, and we wanted to bring you up to speed. But today, we've got a topic that, to be honest with you, we're pretty sure that most consumers don't even know about, and it has to do with their insurance policy. And more to the point, this information, the insurance companies truly wish it stayed that way. They want you to be ignorant of the topic that we're going to cover today. And that topic, Rob, is the appraisal clause.
The appraisal clause.
All right. So let's hear what you got. What is the appraisal clause, and why are we getting into it?
All right. So the appraisal clause, we're finding we need to use it more and more often. It's a piece of your policy, and it's just a paragraph long, but it's incredibly powerful. If you and your insurance company find yourself in a dispute over, it doesn't really matter what, there is this verbiage in your policy that allows you to contest it and come to a resolution. And there's a process.
Is it often the case that there is a dispute between you and your insurance company?
Not all the time, but there are some insurance companies that just truly do not want to pay and to do something properly. And it may be a vehicle repair, it could be a roof repair, could be any kind of a property loss.
So any of our property and casualty stuff could be involved.
Generally speaking, yes. Gotcha. So, we know it from the repair side of things.
Sure.
But there are applications to your personal property, your home, and so on and so forth. The appraisal clause is a piece of your policy. It's just almost a paragraph long, very small one, but it's very, very powerful if you find yourself in dispute with your insurance company.
Is that something that happens on a regular basis? People get into a dispute with their insurance company?
Well, hopefully not, but it does happen, and that's the whole purpose of this appraisal, or right to appraisal clause. It brings in some boundaries that people have to play by in order to make it what it's supposed to be. So if you and your insurance company disagree on the value of the loss, this little paragraph right there is very powerful for you.
All right. So can you read it for us?
Yeah, it's real quick.
Yep.
And it says appraisal is towards the end of the loss section, what they do in a loss. And it says, if we and you do not agree on the amount of the loss, either may demand an appraisal of the loss. In this event, each party will select a competent and impartial appraiser So that means you, the owner of the property, have to pick an appraiser, and then it goes on to say uh, the two appraisers, they're going to pick an appraiser also. The two appraisers then will select an umpire. The appraisers will state separately the actual cash value and the amount of the loss. If they fail to agree, they will submit their differences to an umpire. A decision agreed to by any two will be binding. Each party will pay for its chosen appraiser, and number two, bear the expense of the appraisal and the umpire equally. We do not waive any of our rights under this policy by agreeing to an appraisal.
So whether you are a homeowner or a
Vehicle owner,
vehicle owner, or what about if you're the owner of a diamond ring that is insured? Any valuable that you've got covered under your property and loss or property and casualty insurance policy could have an appraisal clause.
and it should. You should check to make sure you have this appraisal clause. It's very, very important.
Are there insurance policies or insurance companies that don't offer the appraisal clause?
There's only one I'm aware of in Colorado, and also in several other states, this same insurance company. They do not have the appraisal clause for damage to your vehicle, but they do have an appraisal clause if your vehicle is deemed a total loss and you don't agree on the value that they want to give you for your vehicle.
I see. So this is important information.
Yes, it is.
For any vehicle owner to have, as it relates to, at the very least, we hope this doesn't happen to you, but in the event that your vehicle is deemed a total loss, and you want to make sure that you get the most amount of money for
the correct amount of money.
That's what
the correct amount of money.
Yes. Okay. And what you should do is what I heard just now is you should check your policy and see if in fact damage to your vehicle is covered, or if you may possibly be insured by the insurance company. We're not going to name right now.
Nope.
But you should check your policy to see if you have this clause available.
This clause is really, really important.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't fix everything. So that last little sentence, we don't waive our rights, that kind of means if your policy is written for aftermarket parts, then you can't argue with that.
And
that's part of the policy. So that's their right. You signed, or at least are paying your premiums, and by virtue of paying your premiums, you're agreeing to the policy as it's written.
This is another one of those things that flies under the radar and nobody ever mentions, and the insurance company is not going to draw your attention to. I had to learn that the hard way with my vehicle last year.
Yeah.
When I hit a pothole and got $6,000 worth of damage to my vehicle, and then a week later I hit another pothole and got another $6,000 to the damage to the vehicle, and in the end they wanted to put used parts on a vehicle that was 104,000 miles used on my not so old vehicle. So yeah, check your policies.
It's important stuff. And we hope that, we don't have to get involved in that. But there are times that that we do have to suggest as a last resort, talking to the insurance company about invoking the appraisal clause. And that's as simple as sending them an email, talking to them on the phone about it. The frustrating part is many of the people at the insurance company don't even know what the appraisal clause is.
Yeah, it really does fly under the radar for
does.
so many people, including people in the industry, or in the insurance industry. What happens when you do invoke that?
Well, you have to hire an appraiser, which if your car is at our place, we would help you do that. We would direct you to the right person to represent you.
Yeah.
And they would interface with whoever the insurance company picks to be their representative and assess the damage, whatever it may be. And many times just the conversation of invoking the appraisal clause, the insurance company will step back and reassess, how far they want to go with this, because we've never lost on an appraisal clause.
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
We've never lost on an appraisal clause. And what that means is if we say your vehicle needs X and the insurance company says we're not going to pay for X because the guy down the street doesn't do it that way. Well, the guy down the street isn't fixing your car, we're fixing your car. And we look up the manufacturer recommendations and specific procedures for fixing the car, and we believe they owe you for that. So they, once you say, I'm going to invoke the appraisal clause, many insurance companies will take a step back, maybe get somebody else to take another look at it, and not even go down that road and just agree to fix your car properly. That happens more often than not. We don't even have to go down that road.
And so much the better. You mentioned the shop down the road, if you will, which is not one shop that we're talking about, but the collective other shops. Are there a lot of those other shops that will advocate on behalf of the consumer, the guest, as well as what you're describing?
What you'll find traditionally and most often in the market is the shop is going to do what the insurance company wants and how the insurance company wants it repaired. We do not take that philosophy here. We go by the manufacturer of the vehicle and how they want your vehicle repaired. And because we take that stance, and there's so many other shops out there that will do it the way the insurance company wants it repaired, that gives them an edge, and it puts everybody in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And this appraisal clause is the tool to get out of that spot.
All right.
And get your car fixed properly. I have an example right here, and the third largest vehicle that we fix here is a Subaru. So what I have in my hand are Subaru procedures.
Okay.
And in this Subaru procedure, it says, and I'm quoting, if the vehicle is involved in a collision, even if it's a slight collision, be sure to check the following systems. So you'll find that with almost all the vehicles, they have, if you've been in an accident, they want some of your safety systems checked to make sure that they are operating as designed and going to operate as designed in the future.
Okay.
So they list off, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different sections
of things that even if you're in a slight accident, what do they call it? A fender bender?
Yeah.
A bumper kind of a thing?
Mm-hmm.
They want you to check these things.
It clearly says, if the vehicle is involved in a collision, even if it's a slight collision, be sure to check the following systems.
Okay.
The very first item is the airbag module assembly and seat belt pretensioners. And then it goes down to some other sensors they want you to check, and there's very specific procedures for checking all these.
Cars these days are computers, right? I mean,
rolling computers.
There are sensors to everything, even things that you're not aware of.
Absolutely.
Okay.
One of the items, number 6, is check the steering system, and what they're talking about there, among other things, is the actual steering column. Because if you're in any kind of a fender bender and you're holding onto the wheel, the weight of you stressing and holding onto that wheel can slightly collapse that column or damage some of the plastic internal parts of that column.
Okay.
And there's a measurement. They want you to take the steering column out and measure it and check it. All because right. You cannot visually see any of these things.
And because it's written up in the procedures by Subaru.
Yep, and you'll find the same thing for Lexus and Toyota and everybody else.
Here at Nylund's, it would be you would add that to your estimate and say, we're going to do this.
Yeah, this is, if the manufacturer says we need to do this, then that's what we need to do.
Right.
And that's the way we're going to approach the repair, the way the manufacturer says. I mean, who else are you going to, We're not engineers.
No, no, we didn't build the car. We fixed the car to the way that the manufacturer specifies the car was built.
And we check the things that they want us to check. Sometimes we do it here, sometimes we send it to the dealer to get
Sure.
done, but regardless, they're going to get checked, and,
Okay.
and it's going to get done the way they want. Here I have a list, all this list of what an insurance company isn't going to pay for on this Subaru claim. And now, even though we've sent them this paperwork from Subaru, their answer is right here: seatbelt check not necessary per loss damage review. And then further down, the steering column inspection is not necessary for repairs per damage review.
Let me see if I understand what you just read. That's the insurance company. You wrote the estimate the way that the manufacturer says it has to be repaired,
Yes.
and the insurance company is pushing back and saying, we're not going to pay for that.
Yeah, we don't believe it needs that,
We don't believe it needs that.
and we're not going to pay for it. So here's a perfect example. If we can't, I mean, it's clear if you read this piece of paper from the manufacturer, it needs to be done.
Right.
If you read this piece of paper from the insurance company, it doesn't need to be done.
Who do you
You're
trust?
stuck in the middle.
Who do you trust?
Right. So if we were to talk to you about invoking the appraisal clause at this point, it's going to get relooked at. And it's going to get relooked at, hopefully, inside. And a supervisor is going to say, no, we got to go with the manufacturer. Or it could be a supervisor says, I'm going to stand by my people, and we're not covering that, which is the case in this particular case.
Yeah, we've seen that over and over again. And the consumer is the one who really is the victim in this situation because they don't know what you know, which is why we're doing this series, right?
Right. And who are you going to believe? Me or this mega insurance company and this guy that's behind a desk someplace saying, you know, he doesn't think we need it. But he's not an engineer either.
Right.
And he's not repairing the vehicle. And he's not responsible for your safety. We are. And because of that, we take the manufacturer's recommendations very, very seriously.
Love it. All right. So what else do we need to know?
Well, here's a frustrating piece, and it's incredibly frustrating for this guest with this Subaru, which, by the way, this is a 2020 Subaru Outback, fully loaded,
It's brand
with
new.
all the bells and whistles.
It's,
Yeah,
it's practically brand new.
it's brand new, and the insurance company does not want to go through these particular procedures. Actually, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, you've got a staple on that piece of paper. There's more than one thing that they're saying
there's
no to.
plenty of them.
Yeah.
Now here's the really bad place this guest finds themselves in. They have the insurance company that does not have the appraisal clause in the policy, and the only way for them to recover this is to send it someplace else to another body shop that will do the repairs, and they're not, obviously not going to do these things, or pay for it themselves. And if they pay for it themselves, then they would have to actually sue this insurance company in court to get paid for this stuff.
Wow.
And that's why it's so important that you pick an insurance company that has the appraisal clause. Now, in Colorado, I'm only aware of one that doesn't.
Okay.
So if you have any of them other than this one, you're in good shape.
All right. And for legal purposes, we're not going to name that insurance company. So we are going to advise you to go back to your policy, read your policy, check the appraisal clause, and see what it covers.
And if you have questions, you can always come down with it or email it over. We'll help you understand if you have the protections you need, and especially talking about this appraisal clause.
Yeah, we'll post our phone number and an email that you can reach out to us in the description box below, and we'd be happy to take care of answering any of those questions for you.
Or at least get you to the people that you need to talk to.
Absolutely.
So,
all right.
Let's talk about the update from last week.
Yeah, so last week we did a video about torque wrenches and what it means to you. We've had several people come back to us and say, oh, I didn't know what you just taught me, and I need to go have my lug nuts or other things that they've had repaired recently on their vehicles torqued so that they're in a position of safety. And again, I'll post a link to that right up here, as well as in the description box, so you can go watch that video after this one. But what's the update? What happened after we filmed?
Well, so that vehicle, we were talking about a Jeep Wrangler at the end of the last video.
Yeah.
And it was, the insurance company didn't agree with the way, actually, I said it was a total loss.
Right.
Not that we deem it a total loss, we just deem it as unrepairable.
There you go.
Because there were not enough factory specs to support the repairs that were needed to the vehicle. The insurance company disagreed with us, talked the guest into removing the vehicle from here and taking it to another shop for them to repair the vehicle.
Okay, that's where we left off last video.
Yes.
What's happened since?
Yesterday I got an email from the guest that they totaled the vehicle.
The insurance company totaled the vehicle.
Totaled the vehicle.
After they took it to another shop.
Yes.
After they engaged other people to start to repair the shop or the vehicle.
I don't know a ton of information about what happened over there because I'm not over there.
Right.
All I can tell you is they landed up at the same place that we were here, just someplace else. And so that vehicle is not getting fixed. It is being bought back by the insurance company, and they'll get paid.
As it should be.
Mm-hmm, as it should have been for weeks ago.
And just another question for you here. The insurance company, in the process of delaying it from your original estimate and assessment.
Yeah.
And then having it towed somewhere else, and then having the delay of that time and the storage that's involved in all of that, it cost the insurance company more to do what they did than it would have had they taken your advice in the beginning.
It's true. It's true. And that doesn't bother me at all. That doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
You know, they made those decisions. What bothers me is that they ran our guest and their insured out of rental. So they didn't have enough rental to pay for all of this. And something that took almost 7 weeks could have been resolved within their rental period.
What happens when you run out of rental?
They stop paying and you have to pay. So check your rental on your policy also.
We should do another video on your rental clause on your policy.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, there's lots of information about insurance policies to make sure you have stuff in place.
All right, so there's your update for last week's video on torque wrenches and the situation with that Jeep that we were talking about. And with that being the case, Rob and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us for our Saturday morning conversation. And we hope this has been informative to you. If it has, would you please do us the honor of giving us a like on this video? It's the #1 thing that helps the YouTube algorithm. And beyond that, we encourage you to click the subscribe button, click the notify bell so that you get notified of our regular Saturday morning updates to this, the Airing of Grievances with Robert Grieve. And with that being the case, we're just going to say have a great rest of the weekend, and we will see you again here next week.